start recording now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Where is it?
It's probably because I got messed up because I thought it was 8:15 instead of 7:15.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to make sure that was good for the future, but then I had somebody book an 8:45 tonight, so that was kind of
Wow. Yeah.
Hey, I found it.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Ready, set, you're free. Go.
Okay. I'm gonna share. This is what I want. Okay. Share. Oh, yeah. So, all right. So here's the first one. Can you see it okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay. No, I need the next one. Please give me the next one. Okay, so let's do this. Why doesn't it do that? Okay. It won't let me
Make it bigger.
flip. No, it won't let me flip between. You see how it is?
Mhm.
But I arranged like 5 different podcast mics. And then I did my ending page. See this here.
Okay. Cool.
So
yeah. Well, that's exciting. Yeah. So that's a good start.
okay.
So cool. Yeah.
I'm done sharing now.
I love a good lead magnet. So then what I want to do here. Okay. So the other question is, are you planning on having a website?
I would like to.
Okay. Now,
it wouldn't have to be fancy. It could be 2 pages.
Correct.
I mean, it's mainly kind of a lead page to contact me.
Right.
You know, and I mean, if I want to do a blog later on, I can do a blog. But honestly, it's like at this point, it would be me and a client.
Okay.
And I mean, because the resources, the only other thing that I could put on there is the lead magnet, and that would be free if they sign up.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So then in a website, like if you're looking for a platform, which I don't know if you've done any shopping yet for that kind of thing, but
not really.
Okay. I mean, that'll be like part of homework that you can work on, is trying to figure out like which one suits your needs. But theoretically, having one that has a blog option built in, booking options built in, so people can book like directly through you. If not, there's lots of customer management systems that can do that also. And then, are you wanting to do a newsletter?
Oh, that would be neat. I would want it to honestly be monthly. I wouldn't want it to be weekly or something.
Okay.
Monthly would probably work really well. That way I wouldn't have to create content every week.
No, that's true. You know, I've been learning a ton about email marketing, and I think that we can talk about that on a different session, go into really like kind of deep detail about like what makes email marketing effective, especially when you're a service-based business. It's a little bit trickier for product-based, but service-based, I've got some good stuff for you that I think you would like. So we can kind of jump in on that. But some people really want their website platform to have that email ability built in. I use something completely separate just because like I have Wix and they do have an email system, but I needed something a little bit more showy. The show off.
Like Square or like Squarespace?
I use Flowdesk.
Oh, what is that?
It's like a really beautiful one, and it's super simple. Like it's very simplified. And somebody else that I follow that I like their newsletter, she had like an affiliate link at the bottom. And if after my subscription, my trial, I can subscribe for 50% off for the rest of my life. And I thought, oh, well, that's fabulous. Like I don't want to pay $40 a month for an email platform, but I would pay $20 a month for an email platform. So anyway, so that was one that I found that I really liked. And then there are others that have email platforms, but also allow you to put digital products in. So if you have digital courses, if you have like ebooks or whatever, all of that can go in the same place, and make it really simple. So I know a lot of people who use those too. But anyway, so that's something to think about, just kind of looking around at what website platforms, AKA what possible newsletter platforms, or do you want them all one and the same, totally your call. But since you kind of know what you want to focus on, which, I mean, really, you've got a little more than 3, you've got 5, which is fine. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and then having a website with a monthly newsletter option.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. I get that. Yeah.
So those kind of come into
But the
it.
nice thing with a website is that you can still put out like that material. Like if I plan to do like a monthly newsletter, people that subscribe to it would get like a personalized email, right? For
Kind
that?
of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, because like if they sign up for your website, which a lot of times, like even if you use an external newsletter provider, like there's still lots of things, they all communicate with each other.
Okay.
But yeah, so then you can basically create content for that list. And what's nice is that when you start from 0, you have the ability to build a relationship with those people that are subscribed way more than somebody who's starting with like a newsletter list of 1,000, but they've got to figure out how to get those people to engage. Like you can start right out the gate engaging with people more on a one-on-one basis, which is something that I've been doing with my newsletter, and it's working amazingly. And I think it's something that you would like as well. So yeah,
I
so
don't
I
think
think,
I've subscribed to your newsletter yet.
well, maybe you should.
I should.
So I stopped offering a freebie
Mhm.
because I decided that I'm going to start putting the heart and soul of my content into my newsletter, and basically using the value that's in that as the driver. So rather than having somebody sign up, which I used to, I mean, I still do have stuff people can sign up for and give me their email and I'll send them stuff, but I'm trying to practice talking about what the newsletter is going to be about that week and see how many people will sign up based on just that alone, which the answer is quite a few. So it's one of those things. It's like, if people don't know what you have, they're not going to sign up for it or buy it or whatever. It's the same thing with a newsletter. If they don't know you have a newsletter, if you're not talking about your newsletter, they're not going to sign up for your newsletter. So then we want to really kind of focus on what spaces you're going to spend the time online and where those ideal clients are going to be. So then are you thinking of, because you're not somebody who like posts to Instagram and then just has an auto post to Facebook or anything, right? Like when you're doing Facebook, you're going to be more like in groups.
Well, yeah, for podcast coaching, yes.
Okay. Are you going to create your own group too? Do you think you would like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so. That would be a lot of focus.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't have to be like a right now thing, but just something to like once you feel ready for it.
Something to create. Yeah.
Yeah. Having that community would be really nice. Am I boring you?
No.
I'm kidding.
I'm tired.
Kidding.
It's been a busy day. It's been a very busy day. And actually, it's been a very busy 3 days because last night I was host for our Zoom meeting for our congregation. And so that involves sharing videos, doing pictures, muting and unmuting people, making sure people are muted when they shouldn't be, or when they're not having people unmuted when they're supposed to be muted, and so all that behind the scenes things. So, it's a lot of concentration.
Yeah, that's super funny. Our rabbi just like yelled at people. Jerry, you need to mute yourself. Anyway. All right. So, okay. So I'm trying to figure out here where we should go with things. So, because the next session is based more around like the content marketing. Like, what are your content pillars? What will be like the subjects that you want to work around and build under? And how will you present that content? So, right now, it's more like this specific one is like, where do you want to show up online? How much do you want to commit to each space? Which you've already kind of outlined that a little bit, in knowing that you want to do rather a monthly newsletter.
Yeah,
At the
rather
moment.
than a weekly, because
Right.
that's harder to create material for a weekly newsletter rather than monthly. So that way, I mean, they can expect a monthly information, but they don't need it every single week. I think that's overkill from what I'm trying to do. Because
Okay.
it's like, if they really want the help, or if they really want it, then they will sign up for it and, get help.
Right. And
I know they're out there.
and here's the thing is like, and you can change your mind.
Mhm.
Like you can start there, because I was monthly, and then I was like, I have there are too many promotions I have going, too many things I'm like trying to say, and it would just be such a huge newsletter. So y'all are gonna hear from me weekly. And so, but then again, like, I've made the focus shift to my newsletter. So I'm not
Mhm.
doing a blog anymore. I am doing a podcast, but the podcast relates to the newsletter.
Mhm.
And then all that content I try to repurpose in a way that, like, I can create Instagram captions based on the stuff that was in my newsletter. I can create podcast content based on the stuff that was in my newsletter. So it all comes back to the newsletter. So
Mhm.
that's my goal. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for you, of like, where are the central places that you want people to engage with you, like as your preference. And maybe that's something to think about, because each one of those platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they all function a little bit differently, and
Yeah, they do.
and the way that people engage with you is a little different. So it's kind of like, what purpose will each one serve
Mhm.
for you and your business, and like, how will you choose to use it? I think is going to be the big question, which
Mhm.
maybe not doesn't have an answer right now. Maybe it won't have an answer until you get started.
Yeah.
But those are the really important things to start thinking about.
And I think honestly, the main two focuses that I would have would be Facebook and Instagram,
Okay.
because Twitter is not really, I mean, it's where I interact for my podcast, but I don't interact there for like business purposes.
Okay. So okay.
It's
That's
a good
helpful.
place. It's a good place to network,
Sure.
because I've actually contacted composers, and in fact, I have exciting news. So Love, Death, and Robots is going in for season 2 on Netflix May 14th.
Okay.
And I interviewed the composer to it from the first season, like last year. And so I contacted him again and be like, hey, you want to talk about season 2? He's like, yes, middle of June. I'm like, yes.
Well, that's fun.
So I get to talk to him about that.
Oh, that's exciting. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's super fun.
that'll be
Yeah, so
fun.
yeah, you're right. It is a good place for like the networking.
Yeah.
My
And
mom.
like with that, it's, you have the direct messaging, and it's like, okay, so I've got these questions, or I've got this information that I want to share with you, or something. It's like, it's a good networking place, but to me, it doesn't work very well with business.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah, so like Facebook, I think would be really cool for you in a way that you could, like have your landing space, like, or your page, right? That's all built around, which is another thing. I'm gonna get you my thing for an about page,
Okay.
because that will help you to draft up like all the things that we've already talked about, like, your vision, your beliefs, those kinds of things, and figure out how to format them. And then that will help you to create bios for all the different places. I'm an expert at Instagram bios, so if you feel like you need help with that, you just come right over here.
Yes.
Like it's like my favorite thing to do. I love writing Instagram bios. Facebook is a little different, but it's positive because they get you more space. You get more space than you do on Instagram, which is much more limited. So that would be a good thing to start using the about page resource to kind of format how you want to present yourself on Facebook on your page, because then when you are in your groups, you may go in as, I don't know, because you can go in and post at join groups from as a page, right?
I think so.
I think
Yeah.
so too. That might
Yeah.
be something to look into, because if that's the case, then you could kind of doubly join some of these as your page. And if you want to start interacting as a coach who's using these spaces, then you can, and people can just click on your profile and go straight to learning more about you. So that's just an option, because I know messaging is a little harder on Facebook just because you don't often get notifications if the person isn't friends with you.
Yeah, and that's how I got that one client, and she's like way ahead of me, you know, for even doing a podcast or doing the type of work that she wants to do. I mean, she hasn't really done much with her podcasting yet, but it's like she's like a real professional. I don't know what she does, but it's like fancy.
Well, just because she's a professional doesn't mean you're not a professional.
I know.
Okay, that's just my pep talk.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, so that is, I think that then, okay, so let's start working on homework, because usually like my homework is like the last 15 minutes because I usually give way too much. So you just start telling me when it's over. Like our first session, usually you don't get much. The second, like the rest of them, it's like homework. So, all right, so I'd like you to start, and this doesn't have to be done right away, but it can be an ongoing thing. I'd like you to start researching website platforms and newsletter platforms, seeing if you want them the same or different or whatever, seeing who fits your needs and your budget and all that kind of thing.
Okay. You'll send this to me, right?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome.
And then I would also like, there was something, oh yes, work on some different bios that you could use in different spaces. So you could create kind of one rough about page that maybe you would use for a website, and then take parts of that and condense it for like one for Facebook, one for possibly Instagram, that kind of thing. Because having that about, even if you have just a landing page on your website and that's all you ever have, about should be definitely important to have. So I think that it's crucial. So I'm going to give you the about page homework.
Okay.
Resource. And then
can you send me the info on what you use for your website? Okay. Yes. Thanks.
I'll send you some of the major ones that I am aware of, that I know that people are using overall. Same with the newsletter things. I know a few of them. I'm trying to gather my own list of like a giant resource list. It's like, okay, you need a website, here's a bunch of providers. You need something for giveaways on Instagram, here's a bunch of apps you can use to pick a winner, you know, like that kind of random stuff that people seem to need all the time. So I'm working on one of those, but I'll give you what I have of those so far.
That's fine.
Okay.
Don't overwhelm yourself. I know you're handling a lot.
Like all the time, never ending, constant.
Well, and then you're coming to Omaha on Saturday.
I'm coming to Omaha on Saturday to go to a bird thing. It's really funny, and I'm on the way home. I'm picking up a squirrel because I do wildlife rehab, and I had a baby squirrel come in yesterday, And my mentor was like, all right, you can either bring that squirrel to me or I can give you another so that you can raise the squirrels. And I was like, I think I want to do that. I've never done squirrels, like raise them. I've like gotten them old enough to like hand to somebody else. And so I asked my husband, I said, well, like, are you okay if we have a couple squirrels this year? And he goes, are you going to have time? And I said, yeah, why would you think I won't? He goes, I just don't want you to spread yourself too thin. I said, that's who I am. I don't not do that. So anyway, okay. About page is big. Okay. The other thing that I think would be good. Have you dove into those Instagram videos at all?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
That's okay.
It's
You don't have
time,
to explain yourself.
work,
You don't have to explain yourself. Okay.
life problems. No.
So I would say, I mean, again, if you don't get them all done, don't worry. It's 4
Okay.
hours of stuff. So like that would be a lot of homework, but just try to start at least.
I will.
The
I
very
will.
first one, of course, is
I can start on Friday.
What's that?
I can start on Friday because I'm off.
Good. There you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even
At
if you
least
only
do
watch
one of
one,
them.
that's totally
Yep.
cool. And then I'll have the next week, I'll have the workbook will be done, and then you'll get access to that. So that has like journaling prompts and stuff in it. And everything's in a written format. So if it's easier for you to go that way and just work on it chapter by chapter, that's cool. And there's some extra stuff in there that is not in the videos either. That is new
Okay.
about Instagram. Instagram's like my jam, so I'm very obsessed about it.
Cool.
All right. Does that feel like enough homework or does that feel like too much homework?
No, because you mentioned about the about page,
Mhm.
the website, bios, and like for Facebook, Instagram, website, major website pages, newsletter. That's research. That's okay.
Yeah, a lot of it is going to be research.
The thing that one of the things I was mainly concerned about this evening was about that email. And if you could send me maybe a couple of thoughts on that email,
I've got some written down that I was.
All right. I would really appreciate it because it's like I want to construct it in a very good way. Back to him and say something like, I've had to have time to think about this and see where we're going to go with this, and I don't know, I need time to think.
That's okay. That's totally cool. And you should have time to think. When did he send it to you?
Today.
Okay. So you've got time.
Yeah.
You can also too, like if you don't hear from me, because I'm going to try to get our notes done by tomorrow.
Okay.
And it may be tomorrow evening.
Tomorrow is grocery day, so it's fine.
Okay. But then either way, like if you feel like you want to get back to him sooner, just say, hey, I'm going to get back to you, and just tell him when you're going to. And
yeah.
And that works just as fine.
Okay. Because I'll probably text him and say, hey, I'm still working on what I want to say in regard to, the email you sent me. There was a lot to consume in that email. There was, it was a meaty email. There was a lot to think about. And it's like, I have to have time to really think about what I'm going to say.
Yeah, definitely. Because you also have to present yourself and your prices and stuff like that. So it's more than just like, do I want to take this on or not? It's like, okay, well, if I charge an hourly rate for research, how does that vary from an hourly rate for coaching? And like, there's a lot, that's a lot different. But
is there a difference for you? Like, have you ever charged
me to research before?
Oh, okay.
Like
I just was curious.
I do research for my one-on-one clients that they ask for it because they're paying me for an entire package of that.
Yeah.
So like I said, like my client last night, she wants Pinterest stuff. That's part of what she's paying for. So that's fine. But if I were to do research for somebody and somebody were to ask that of me, like, hey, I want resources, and I didn't have anything on hand, I'd be like, okay, I would charge an hourly rate, but it would be different. Like my one-on-ones would be more expensive because I have to look nice. I have to like, well, obviously I'm wearing a ratty gray t-shirt, but like,
well, I don't look nice. I'm wearing a first world problems t-shirt.
I have to show up, right? Like I have to show up. I had to sort of make my bangs look sort of straight, which I just got, so they're bothering me. That's why I keep touching them. And there's just more energy, more emotional energy expended. But if I'm sitting and I'm researching, that's just me in like my bed cave, like, doing like my little Schmiegel act, like nobody has to see me or anything. It doesn't take as much for me to do that.
Mhm.
It might take me longer, but I won't charge as much for that.
Okay.
So
Like $10 lower, or what do you think?
that's a good question. So have you even considered what your
Because
hours?
I have considered. I've
Okay.
considered about 35 an hour.
For podcast consulting, like one-on-one?
Yeah. Do you think that's too low?
Yes.
Okay.
Any sort of coaching
So like
should be a
50?
75 or higher.
Oh, okay. 75 or higher. Okay.
Yeah, I think so,
Okay.
because it's just, well, most people
It's a lot of work.
expect it. Like so I charge 130 an hour,
Mhm.
and I'm cheap
Okay.
in the world of business coaching.
Okay.
So, I mean, you could pop around to some other coaches, see what they charge an hour. And I mean, if you wildly disagree with it, you can come down. And if you want to be more accessible, you can have those options. You could do sliding scale, you could do any of those payment plans, but you definitely 35 an hour.
That's way too low.
It won't sustain you.
No.
Like if you need to turn this into a full-time income, 35 an hour probably won't be enough to live off of, because you have to account for your benefits and everything else that you're getting at your job.
Yep.
So that's my spiel. And plus it's just hard to do like back to back one-on-ones. Like you need time between, so you have to pay for that too. So there's a lot to it, but
I appreciate that information.
yeah. So I mean, like I would say like you could probably charge 35 an hour for research.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable, but I think you should at least go double that for showing up in person.
Okay.
That's just
that makes sense. No, I like that. That's very good.
Yeah.
I like that very much.
So, and I have some calculations too, on how to figure out like how much you need to make in a month.
Oh, I like that.
So I'll send those to you as well, and then you can work through those, because sometimes you can look at like, okay, this is the income that I want to have. This is how much.
I'll give some of that math to Haley. She loves math.
Yes, there you go.
And that's not a joke. She really does.
Well, good for her, right? Good for her. Anyway, okay. So then I'll get all this written up. You'll have it by tomorrow.
Okay.
And we will reconvene.
All right. Thank you very much for giving me some of that like confidence that I'm doing the right thing. Because it's really a challenge to try to find the right space.
Right. Yeah, I understand, but you are very welcome. Anytime you need any of that confidence, you come right over here. I'll help you. Okay. All right. Well, I know you have an 8:45 and I'm running you over, so. It's okay. It's okay. I was late. Have a great night. All right. You too. All right. Bye. Bye.